Matt Stafford sacked 7 times in the game, and he continues to really be a one-man show, which is to say he just throws to Cooper Kupp. But maybe it's not his fault because nobody else is open. This season as a whole, Stafford's completion percentage drops 15 points when he's targeting anybody else. Cooper gets about 100 yards per game. The rest of the wideouts combine for 69 yards per game, and which brings me to ask a leading question to my insider extraordinaire, Dan Graziano. Where was Odell Beckham Jr. yesterday?
God's country, New Jersey. He was over in East Rutherford visiting the Giants. Now, before anybody gets too excited, he was not visiting the Giants in any kind of official way where they're considering signing him. He went to see some friends, checking in on Sterling Shepard, who's injured, saying hi to Saquon Barkley, who's fantastic. But no, he was there. He was across the river in New Jersey. So make of that what you will, Greeny.
I'm going to make of it that someone is going to sign Odell Beckham Jr. at some point here.
Yes.
And as we saw last year, when he arrived in Los Angeles, everything immediately changed and they won a Super Bowl. So let's live in a world where he is going to be healthy enough this year at some point to be a difference maker. I asked everyone here, tell me what team he should want to go to. If Odell's primary goal is to do what he did last year, and that is win a championship someplace, where should he want to go? Marcus Spears, why Kansas City?
Because they need a closer at the wide receiver spot, G. I like this team, obviously, and we know how great Patrick Mahomes is. But when you get in high-leverage games and where we know Kansas City is headed, you're going to have a guy where it's just about the man as opposed to some concept or something that Andy Reid can dial up. And I think OBJ in this offense obviously will open up things for Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster, and he'll add and increase this run game because you have to determine coverage when he's playing wide receiver. So I think this is his best chance to potentially win another ring. But I also think within this offense, he can come in right away and increase an offense where we just saw put up 41 points against the Bucs.
Neek, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to be a difference maker on the team. If he goes to Kansas City, it'll be nice to have him there. And he's right, there's a hole in receivers. But the Cowboys are a team that surprised the hell out of me and are a legitimate threat in the NFC and could use another weapon on the outside. And also, I really like this job. And it's really easy when the Cowboys are exciting and interesting. So, Odell, don't only think about yourself. Think about me and Greeny. Give us something to talk about. More Cowboys talk, please.
That's right. No state taxes. Jeff, and you think he should go right back where he was in L.A.?
Absolutely. You made my point for me, right? You got a Kupp who's averaging 100 yards a game. You got 69 averaged by all the other wideouts combined. So you don't think Sean McVay can create something to get him the ball? Rest assured, he will get targeted. He will be that difference maker in Los Angeles. And again, he's the type of guy who not only brings on the field presence, but off the field presence. And they need that something severe in LA.
Graziano, what am I missing here? Hold on one second. Let me get my glasses on and make sure I'm reading the screen correctly. I don't see the Green Bay Packers logo anywhere. Yeah. Why is that not there, Graziano?
I picked the Chiefs for a lot of the same reasons Marcus did. The Packers make some sense, and he did look at them last year when he ended up going to the Rams. Look, a couple things. We don't know when he's going to be healthy. We don't know how healthy he's going to be, if he's going to be a difference maker. The most likely situation is the Rams. They've stayed in touch, and I think there's mutual interest on both sides. But we're playing a game here, right? Where would he want to go? If you were him, where would you want to go? Play with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and be the number one. I mean, he could, if he's healthy, he could step in and be the number one receiver. Swagoo said there comes a point in the game, right, where it's about players, not plays. And the Chiefs right now have Travis Kelce that fits that description and really nobody else.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.